Welcome back. You are listening to the home of forbidden romances. Prepare yourself, because tonight's story will leave you breathless. The notification lit up my phone screen like a solitary lighthouse in the pitch-black ocean of the lecture hall, displaying a message that nearly made me drop my fountain pen. Asterisk, he hurt me night. He actually hurt me. That bastard Ethan cornered me and beat me up. Asterisk, I stared at the glowing pixels, the blood draining from my face, not out of fear, but out of a bewildered, cold fury. I looked up from my mahogany desk at the front of the room, my eyes narrowing as they locked onto the boy sitting in the back row. Julian. My sweet, chaotic, online submissive who went by the handle Starlight_J. He was currently hunched over his tablet, aggressively typing his next lie to me, his bottom lip trembling with a performance worthy of an Academy Award. I am Ethan. I am the senior prefect of the Whitaker Business School. And while I had indeed just verbally eviscerated Julian's pitiful excuse for a marketing capstone project in front of the faculty board, I hadn't laid a finger on him. Yet, the air in the Whitaker lecture hall was always stale, recycled through vents that hadn't been cleaned since the 80s, but today it tasted particularly metallic, like ozone and anxiety. As the top-ranking senior and the professor's acting assistant, my word was law. They called me the ice monarch behind my back. I knew this because I monitored the campus forums with the same obsessive precision I applied to the stock market. I was cold, efficient, and relentlessly perfect. And then there was Julian. Julian was a scholarship student, a burst of chaotic color in my monochrome world of grays and navy blues. He had messy honey blonde hair that defied gravity and oversized sweaters that swallowed his slender frame, making him look more like a lost child than a future CEO. In the real world, we were oil and water. I was the predator. He was the prey who didn't know how to stay quiet. But online, in the encrypted chat rooms of Sanctuary, a heavy roleplay server for anonymous stress relief, he was mine. I adjusted my glasses, the silver chain clinking softly against the frame. On my screen, the chat window with Starlight_J was open. Night **BQ. Are you safe? Do I need to call the police? I watched Julian in the back row. He flinched as his phone buzzed. He picked it up, his thumbs flying. Starlight_J **, no police. He's too powerful. His family owns half the board. He slammed me against the wall after class. My wrist is bruising. I'm scared, Knight. I need you. I looked at his wrist. It was pristine. The little liar. A dark, twisted amusement curled in my gut, hot and heavy. This was a game I hadn't realized we were playing. Julian wasn't just venting. He was fabricating a tragedy to solicit comfort from his digital protector. He wanted to be the victim so badly, to be coddled and soothed by the mysterious Knight who spoiled him with validation. I typed back, my eyes never leaving his slumped form. Knight *, show me. Julian froze. He hesitated. Then, he subtly angled his phone under the desk. A moment later, an image loaded on my screen. It was a close-up of his wrist, where he was pinching his own skin hard enough to create a red mark, manipulating the lighting to make it look like a bruise. Starlight_J **, see? It hurts so much. The audacity was breathtaking. Mr. Thorne, I said aloud, my voice cutting through the murmurs of the remaining students packing up their bags. Julian jumped, his phone clattering onto the desk. He looked up, eyes wide and doe-like, filled with a mixture of genuine fear and the residual defiance he always held for me. Why, yes, senior? Stay behind, I commanded, stacking my papers with deliberate slowness. We need to discuss the formatting errors in your proposal. The other students filed out, casting pitying glances at Julian. They knew what a private session with Ethan Sterling meant, a brutal dissection of one's intellect. When the heavy oak doors finally clicked shut, the silence was deafening. Julian stood by his desk, clutching his bag like a shield. I stood up, smoothing the front of my charcoal three-piece suit, and began the slow descent down the stairs of the amphitheater. I heard you had a rough afternoon, I said, my voice smooth, lacking the usual bite I reserved for incompetent underclassmen. Julian blinked, confused by the tone. I beg your pardon. Your presentation, I clarified, stopping 3 feet from him. I was taller than him by a good 4 inches, enough to loom. Professor Holloway was unimpressed. I imagine that felt like a physical blow. Julian's jaw tightened. You told him my risk assessment was elementary at best, and that my graph looked like it was drawn by a toddler with a trimmer. Accurate observations, I replied dryly. But hardly assault. Julian flushed, a lovely shade of pink dusting his cheeks. I never said it was assault. I just said you were harsh. Liar, I thought, the word echoing in my mind with delicious malice. You told Knight, I slammed you against a wall. Come here. I ordered. Julian hesitated, his fight-or-flight response clearly warring with his academic obligation to obey a senior. He took a tentative step forward. Closer. He stepped into my personal space. I could smell him now, vanilla and old paper, a scent that I had fantasized about for months while staring at a black screen. I reached out and grabbed his left wrist, the one he had just photographed. He gasped, trying to yank it back, but my grip was iron. I ran my thumb over the pristine skin, the ghost of his self-inflicted pinch mark fading. Your pulse is racing, Julian. I murmured, my voice dropping an octave. Are you afraid of me? You're hurting me. He stammered, though my grip was firm, not crushing. Am I? I leaned in, my lips brushing his ear. Or do you just like pretending that I am? He shuddered, a full-body tremor that had nothing to do with fear and everything to do with the tension crackling between us. He pulled his arm free and stumbled back, clutching his wrist as if I had burned him. You're a psycho, he hissed, grabbing his back. I'm reporting you. For what? I asked calmly, crossing my arms. Checking your pulse. He glared at me, eyes wet with frustrated tears, before turning and fleeing the lecture hall. I waited until the door swung shut before pulling out my phone. Knight ***, poor thing. Did he touch you again? I watched the typing bubble appear almost instantly. Starlight _J***, he just cornered me again. He grabbed the bruise. He's a sadist, Knight. He enjoys it. I smirked, walking back to the podium. Oh, Julian. You have no idea. The following weeks became a masterclass in psychological warfare. I lived a double life. By day, I was Ethan Sterling, the impeccable senior who made Julian's academic life a living hell. I returned his papers covered in red ink. I forced him to redo minor assignments for font inconsistencies. I made him fetch coffee for the board meetings, critiquing the temperature every single time. By night, I was Knight. I was the sanctuary he ran to. I listened to him wail about the devil of Whitaker. I offered soothing words, validation, and dark, possessive promises that I would take care of him. Starlight **J***, he made me reorganize the entire archive today. My back is killing me. Knight ***, you should take a hot bath. Do you want me to tell you a story while you soak? Starlight **J***, yes, please. Your voice. Well, your text. It's the only thing that calms me down. It was intoxicating. I held his heart in one hand and his future in the other. But the deception required maintenance. I had to ensure my actions as Ethan were logical, or he would suspect something. Why was the top student obsessed with a mediocre freshman? I rationalized it to the faculty as mentoring. I claimed Julian had potential that needed to be extracted through pressure. In reality, I was sculpting him. I was breaking down his sloppy habits and rebuilding him, all while he hated me for it. The breaking point came in mid-November, during the preparations for the annual business gala. It was a black-tie event, the most important networking night of the year. Julian had been assigned as my personal aide for the evening, a position others would kill for, but one he viewed as a prison sentence. It was raining that night, a torrential downpour that battered the glass walls of the student union. We were alone in the office, finalizing the guest list. You missed the CEO of Kincaid Industries, I said, dropping the file onto his desk. Julian snapped. He stood up, his chair scraping violently against the floor. I didn't miss him. He's on page 4. Maybe if you bothered to read past the first line, you'd see that. The silence that followed was heavy. Julian's eyes widened as he realized he had just yelled at me. I stared at him, my expression unreadable. Pick it up. What? The file? I said softly. Pick it up. He swallowed hard, his Adam's apple bobbing. He bent down, retrieving the folder. When he stood back up, I was right in front of him. You have a fire in you, Julian, I said, reaching out to fix his crooked tie. It's a shame you wasted on complaining to strangers on the internet. He froze. The color drained from his face completely. What? What did you say? I hadn't meant to say it. It was a slip. A dangerous one. Strangers, I corrected smoothly, my thumbs lingering on the knot of his tie. Social media? Distractions. He stared at me, his breathing shallow. He was searching my face, looking for a crack in the mask. For a second, I thought he knew. I thought the game was over. Then, he exhaled, a shaky, broken sound. I don't complain. I just have a difficult supervisor. Is he difficult? I asked, stepping closer, until our chests were nearly touching. Or does he just see what you're capable of? Julian looked up at me, his eyes searching mine. The hatred was there, yes, but beneath it lay something else. Confusion. Need. The same need he projected onto Knight. Why do you hate me? He whispered. I don't hate you. I replied, my voice dropping to that deep, rumbling register I used on voice notes for him sometimes. I'm obsessed with you. The air left the room. Julian's lips parted. He took a step back, hitting the edge of the desk. You. What? I braced my hands on the desk on either side of him, trapping him. This was reckless. This was against every rule I had set for myself. But seeing him this close, wet from the rain, eyes wide with shock, I couldn't stop. You think I'm a monster? I murmured, leaning down. You tell your stories. You show your fake bruises. You want to be the victim so badly, Julian. So tell me, what are you going to tell him tonight? Julian's eyes widened to the size of saucers. Him. Knight, I whispered against his lips. Julian gasped, a sound of pure, unadulterated shock. He tried to push me away, but I caught his hands, both of them, and pinned them to the desk. This time, I didn't hold back. I let the dominance bleed through, the sheer, overwhelming power that he claimed to hate, but secretly craved. How? He choked out. How do you know that name? I didn't answer. I just looked at him, letting the silence stretch, letting the realization seep into his bones. I saw the gears turning. The text messages. The timing. The specific phrases I used. No, he whispered, shaking his head. No, you can't be. He's kind. He listens to me. You're Ethan. I am both, I said, my voice harsh. I am the one who pushes you to be better, and I am the one who comforts you when you break. I am the only one who knows you, Julian. The real you. The liar. The brat. The boy who craves control so much he invents it. Tears spilled over his lashes. Real tears this time. You played me. You humiliated me. I taught you, I corrected. And now, you're going to learn the most important lesson of all. I released his hands and stepped back, adjusting my cuffs. The loss of contact made him stumble slightly. Get your coat, I said, my voice returning to its professional cadence. We have a gala to attend. And if you make a single mistake tonight, Julian, Knight won't be there to comfort you, because I'll be standing right next to you. He stared at me, trembling. He looked like his world had shattered. But then, slowly, he wiped his face. He straightened his spine. He looked at me not with fear, but with a sudden, sharp clarity. You're insane, he said, his voice steadying. Probably, I agreed. He grabbed his coat. He didn't run. He didn't scream. He walked to the door, paused, and looked back at me. If you're Knight, he said, his voice trembling slightly, then you know I don't give up easily. I'm counting on it, I replied. The gala was a blur of champagne, silk, and superficial conversation. I played the role of the perfect host, charming donors, and navigating the politics of the academic elite. But my focus was entirely on Julian. He was magnificent. Driven by spite, or perhaps a desire to prove me wrong, he was flawless. He charmed the Kincaid CEO. He navigated the wine list with expertise. He was sharp, witty, and undeniably beautiful in the tuxedo I had secretly arranged for him to rent. I watched him from across the ballroom, swirling a glass of Pinot Noir. He was laughing at something the dean said, but his eyes kept darting to me. They were dark, assessing. He was seeing me for the first time, not just as the cruel senior, but as the man behind the screen. I stepped out onto the balcony for air. The rain had stopped, leaving the city lights reflecting off the wet pavement below. You're pleased with yourself. I didn't turn around. I knew that voice. Julian stepped up beside me, leaning against the stone balustrade. You performed adequately, I said. Adequately. He scoffed. I had the Kincaid CEO eating out of the palm of my hand. I used the strategy you that night suggested last week. I turned to face him. Then it worked. Julian looked at me, searching. Why? Why the game? Why not just talk to me? Because you wouldn't have listened, I said honestly. You saw a rich, arrogant senior. You would have dismissed me. I needed to know who you were when no one was watching. And then, I couldn't stop. It's twisted, Julian said. It's manipulative. It's effective. Julian looked down at his hands. I should hate you. I told myself all night that I hate you. And he looked up, his eyes burning. And I can't stop thinking about how you knew exactly what to say to make me feel safe. Even when you were the one causing the stress. It's confusing. I moved closer, trapping him against the balustrade. The balcony was shadowed, hidden from the prying eyes of the party inside. Let me simplify it for you, I whispered. I reached out, my hand cupping his jaw. His skin was hot. I pushed you because I knew you could take it. I comforted you because I couldn't stand seeing you in pain, even if I was the cause. I want you, Julian. Not the online persona. You. The messy, lying, brilliant mess that you are. Julian's breath hitched. He leaned into my touch, almost instinctively. And if I say no? If I report you? Then I lose, I said simply. And I don't like losing. But I won't stop you. It was the only truth that mattered. I was giving him the control. For the first time, the power dynamic was entirely in his hands. Julian stared at me for a long moment. Then, a small, wicked smile touched his lips. It was the smile of Starlight_J, the brat who liked to cause trouble. You know, he murmured, his hand coming up to rest on my chest, right over my heart. You still owe me for the emotional damages. I have a feeling the repayment plan will be extensive, I replied. Lifetime, he corrected. He grabbed my lapels and pulled me down. The kiss was messy, desperate, and tasted of champagne and rain. It was a collision of two worlds, the online fantasy and the harsh reality, crashing together to create something volatile and real. When we broke apart, breathless, he glared at me, though his eyes were shining. But if you ever critique my font choice again, he warned, I really will tell the internet you beat me up. I laughed, a rare, genuine sound that seemed to surprise us both. Deal. I pulled him close again, resting my chin on his head as we looked out over the city. The game was over. The lie was dead. But as I held him there, feeling the steady beat of his heart against mine, I knew the story was just beginning. And that is how the executioner of Whitaker finally surrendered to the chaos he tried to control. If you enjoyed seeing the Ice Prince melt for his bratty junior, destroy that like button. And tell me in the comments, would you forgive a lover who catfished you to make you a better person? Or is that a deal breaker? I'll be reading your answers. Subscribe for the next chapter. Until then.